Good evening. I'm Marcia LINSKY, former magistrate, prosecutor, and currently defense attorney. I'm using this podcast on the level with LINSKY to introduce new ideas and concepts, which include the criminal justice system. I'm hoping to provide information, and hopefully we will learn something new along the way. Tonight's guest is the Honorable Francis Gull, who will be talking about the Vet Court Drug Court Intervention Program. This is a program that aims to divert individuals with drug addiction from some of the traditional criminal justice approaches to a treatment-based approach. This approach involves regular court appearances, drug testing, access to treatment, education, and vocational services. It is the goal of the program to help the participant overcome substance abuse and reintegrate into the community as productive citizens. It's currently headed by the Honorable Judge Gull. She was elected to the bench in 1996 and has served tirelessly in that time, presiding over major felony cases, the drug court program, and helping foster other innovations within the criminal justice system, such as our current jury system and some of the new technology that we see in our courtrooms as well. We have seen many improvements over the years. It's my honor to have her as my guest tonight. Welcome, Judge Gull.
Thank you, Marcia. It's lovely to be here.
I want to start by thanking you. I know you've had a very busy day today.
It's been a little crazy, a little bit.
Just a little bit about yourself to start with. How did you decide to become a judge?
The opportunity presented itself when Phil Thiem announced his retirement. And at that time, I was chief deputy in the prosecutor's office. And I had thought, as many, I think, attorneys think, at the end of their career, they're going to retire to the bench. And I wasn't that old when he retired from the bench, but I looked at the current bench and thought, there's men that are on there now that are going to be there for a while. So if I'm going to jump onto the bench, this is the best time to do it. So I threw my hat in the ring.
And you were the first woman to be on the bench from the criminal division,
I
weren't
was.
you?
Yes.
Yes.
I sure was.
Yes. When did the drug court intervention program begin in Allen County?
It was started by Judge Scheibenberger, Kenneth Scheibenberger, under a federal grant back in 1996. He received a $400,000 grant from the federal government to start this intervention program because he was seeing the same people doing the same things over and over again, and there was very little treatment. As you know, drug court started back in 1987 in Miami-Dade County with a judge who kept seeing the same people recycling through his programs, through his courtrooms. And he knew that there had to be a better way, and he came up with drug court. And Ken Scheibenberger followed in those footsteps. So he created the program and ran it for years until his retirement.
And it creates a very unique approach within the criminal justice system. Is that true?
It's very unique, and it was really hard when I first started in drug court to kind of take off that adversarial hat and put on the therapeutic hat because, you know, as attorneys, we battle it out in the courtroom, and that's not exactly what problem-solving courts are designed to do. Problem-solving courts are just that. They are to solve the problems that are brought to us by offenders who really need intervention and really need help. So it is a different approach. It's a more collaborative approach. We have a prosecutor, we have a defense attorney on our drug court team, and instead of fighting and battling it out, they're working together to solve problems.
And is there any oversight in that for the program itself?
The program is certified by the Indiana, I think it's Office of Court Services now, and it's we've been certified since 1998, I believe, and have maintained that certificate in good standing. They come every 4 years and they look at our program. They make sure that we are honoring that we are fidelity, that we are honoring the program's mission, and that we are doing good things, and that it's all evidence-based so that we don't make people worse than when they started with the program.
And is there also any statutory basis for this program?
Yeah, it's controlled by statute. I mean, the prosecutors are the gatekeeper of the program. Although we tell defense attorneys all the time, you know your clients and you know what they're facing. So if you think you've got somebody that's eligible for drug court, talk to the prosecutor. But it's statutory based as well, and there are rules that we all have to follow.
And how does one qualify for the program?
Basically, you have to be 18 years of age. We prefer that you be a resident of Allen County, but we will take folks that are not residents of Allen County. But you have to have a criminal charge pending against you. The only charges that we really are statutorily prohibited from taking are major felonies like murder, armed robbery, armed burglary, that type of thing. But we've taken high-level dealing cases, we've taken high-level possession cases, and the whole gamut in between, from theft all the way up to, let's see, I think it's basically theft and prostitution. We've getting some of those, and yeah.
Those are all the kinds of crimes that would also, it's fair to say, be substance abuse driven.
They're substance abuse driven. I mean, we get so many folks for a long time before electronic prescriptions. You know how you get your prescription now?
Yes.
We were getting so many nurses and physicians and pharmacists that were we get a nurse that's been injured on the job, and she's getting prescription medication, and then that prescription runs out, and maybe she takes a prescription pad and she writes herself her own prescription and gets it filled. Well, that's fraud. And we were getting a lot of nurses and people in the healthcare profession that were before everything became electronic with prescriptions. So we get a lot of possession cases, possession of methamphetamine, possession of heroin. Again, we have taken low-level dealers, the people that are dealing to support their habits. So it's all substance-based, and it's all substance abuse-based.
Do you find, I know we hear a lot about the opioid crisis within Indiana and Allen County.
Yeah.
Do you find a lot of that was driven by people who were injured and started out taking prescription medication?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of so many people right now in my head that are current in the drug court program and that have been successful graduates of the program that basically started out getting injured, playing football, getting injured in college, and getting prescription medication to deal with those things. And they get addicted then, and the doctors cut them off, or their prescribing doctor. We've had several doctors that have lost their licenses based on the amount of drugs they were prescribing. And then those folks, they go to the streets and commit crime to continue their habit.
If I've been accepted into the program, what can I expect when I walk into this program?
It is overwhelming at first, and I see our folks come in and they've got big wide eyes, and they've gone through the orientation process, which is a several hour, the assessment is several hours, and then they go through the orientation process, and that is several hours, and then they make their first court appearance, and they've got big eyes that are very wide, and they are completely overwhelmed with everything, and we just tell them, take a breath. It took you a minute to get to the spot that you're in right now. It's going to take you a minute to get out of that spot. And we provide therapeutic services. We do referrals to treatment. And as you mentioned at the very beginning of your show, we get a lot of offenders that don't know life skills. They don't know how to live life on life's terms. They've always been under the influence. I've got some folks that have been in the program for a while that we order them into parenting classes. And they get fussy with us about, well, why do I have to take parenting classes? What does that have to do with my addiction? And I remind them that they never parented their children sober or clean. Mm-hmm. So we need to reunite you with your family. We need to make sure that you can safely parent your kids. And we have a lot of involvement with Department of Child Services, because so many of our folks that we're getting they're charged with neglect of a dependent, for example, or they're getting behind the wheel of a car intoxicated and they've got their children in the car. So one of the goals that we have in drug court is to reunite those families and to make them better families, and to give the children the parents that they deserve, and to get the mom and the dad clean and sober and enjoying a clean and sober life with their children.
Do you see a lot of firsts for people in the program, like the first time they've been to a high school program, or the first time they've graduated?
Oh, yeah. We've got people that have never had jobs. They've never had a savings account. They've never had a car. They've never had a driver's license. I mean, we've got a lot of people that are making these giant firsts. And, when I'm looking at a 45-year-old man and telling him, we want you to get your high school equivalency, and he's staring at me like, why do I need that? And it's like, you need that to become a better human being and to become a better citizen. And look how you'll feel, how much better you're going to feel about yourself when you do something successful. So part of that goal, too, is to prop people up to make them successful, to get them that confidence and the self-esteem, because so many of our folks don't have very much self-esteem. They've been told by families, they've been told by their community, they've been told by the court system that they're nothing and that they don't deserve anything. So to have them, when they start the program and they won't look me in the eye and they won't, they stare at the floor when they're talking to me, and 8, 10, 12 months later, and they're moving in the phases and they're getting closer to graduation, and I can look at them and say, the change in you is astonishing. I can't believe how much better you look, how much better you feel. And they'll just sit there and stare at me and say, well, I was a hot mess when I first started.
I'm finding more and more often there seems to be a common theme in some of these courts and for people struggling with addiction. You hear them saying, I didn't know anybody cared. And you bring them into a program like drug court, and they find this team of people that cares about them.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
You think that's a lot of the success of your program?
I think
also?
it really is, Marcia. We've been to conferences, national conferences with the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, and we all get together in our groups, the judges, the attorneys, the prosecutors, the case managers, the treatment providers, the law enforcement. And it's interesting to have all of these conversations with our peers and our colleagues to hear that they're doing the same work that we're doing, and they're hearing the same things from their participants that we're hearing, which is, I never really had a very good experience in court with a judge before. I've never had a judge tell me I've done a great job. I've never had a judge hug me. All I've had, and I've got folks in the program right now that have said, well, you sentenced me 15 years ago and you weren't very nice. It's like, well, that's part of my job is in my regular work, but this is so much different and so much more rewarding.
I remember when I was at the prosecutor's office, someone who was in the drug court program came up to me at graduation and said, my goal was to prove you wrong and show you I could do this. Whatever it takes, right?
Well, we've had a guy that graduated last year who wanted his prosecutor to come to his final court date.
Yeah.
And I contacted his prosecutor and said, this individual would like you to be there. Would you be willing to come? And he was excited to come. And he came and he called the case. And we presented this defendant with his certificate of completion and his final court paperwork where he got his case dismissed. And he stood there and he said, you saved my life. If you would not have referred me to this program, I'd be dead. And I can't tell you how many times I've said that. And every time I hear that, a little piece of me cries inside because it's like, gosh, you're right. The scourge of heroin, the scourge of fentanyl and opioids, it is killing our citizens.
Yes.
And it's heartbreaking. And so everyone that we can grab out of that and help and get back on the right track it's a great thing.
Yes.
It's a great thing.
Yes. Now, are there rewards and incentives built into your program?
Oh, yes. We reward everything. Everything is a big deal. If somebody completes, like for example, if they are in a recovery residence and they successfully complete that, we have fishbowl. In the fishbowl, we have little prizes, and it's first prize, grand prize, monthly fee waiver, and a daily prize. And we get donations from the community, and we go and we purchase, things for daily prize, something as simple as, shampoo and conditioner. Toothbrush, toothpaste, and dental floss, that, those are the daily prizes. When we started seeing a lot of our families involved and children that had been removed from parents, we created the Children's Daily Prize. And that we use that because most of the supervised visits in our community happen on Tuesday, and drug court happens on Monday. So if we have a mom who's going to have supervised visits and she gets a daily prize, it just makes me feel so good to see her going there and not picking anything for herself, but picking something for her child. A Barbie, a game that they can play together, bubbles, sidewalk chalk, stuff like that. So we have the prizes, and we use those to reward people for doing good things and for being a success. And we have found, and the evidence shows us, that positive reinforcement really works. Some folks respond very well to, verbal praise and encouragement. A little present doesn't hurt.
Now, you said you accept donations from the community.
Yes.
If somebody wants to donate, how would they go about doing that?
We have a foundation. Doug Ulmer is our public defender, and he created a 501c3, so it's a tax-deductible charitable contribution it's called Vet Court Drug Court's Work. And we've been surprised by some really generous members of our community. But any amount is a good thing because it really goes right back into the clients. It goes right back into them and encouraging them and holding them up.
Now, you mentioned the name of that is Vet Court Drug Court's work. What's
Yes,
Vet
ma'am.
Court? What's the Vet Court arm of
Vet
this?
court is the opportunity for veterans who get involved in the criminal justice system. A lot of times they've given a lot to their country, and it's an opportunity for us to give back to them. They have criminal charges pending. They don't necessarily have to be substance abuse related. Many of them are. Many of them are alcohol related, and a lot of them are just mental health. They have PTSD from combat. We're seeing a lot of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans coming back now, but we've got in our program now, we've got a lot of Vietnam vets that never addressed the problems that they were facing when they came back to the United States. So we have a lot of Vietnam vets that we are taking care of. And they go through the program in a separate group because we have found that they do tend to bond together very well. We try to pair them up with mentors from the same branch of service. So if we have an Army veteran in our program, we try to find an Army gentleman or female that's willing to walk alongside that veteran as they're going through the program and going through the services that we can offer. So many of them don't know that they have benefits available to them through the Veterans Administration. So that's one of the first things we do. We get their DD-214, and then we immediately start contacting our ombudsman and the Veterans Administration to make sure that we can get them connected to their services that they're entitled to. I mean, they signed their name on a dotted line offering their life. So we need to make sure that we get those folks the services that they need and that they're entitled to.
Very nice, very nice. Now, for people who successfully complete the program, are they going to end up with a felony conviction?
No, they don't. Our prosecutor, back starting with Karen Richards and now with Mike McAlexander, we've been very fortunate that there are very few crimes that they will not dismiss. So that is a lovely incentive for folks, and a lot of them will tell us right at the beginning, I want to get my case dismissed. And they will get their case dismissed, and then they see the benefits, not just having their case dismissed, but getting their life back on track, getting all of the chaos of addiction out of their life, having a peaceful life. I can't tell you how many offenders have said, I just don't want to look over my shoulder all the time. And, I have money now. I have a car. I have a family. I have a life. I have a job. I have things that everybody else has. And I have a life just like everybody else. I'm boring, and I really like that part of my life being boring. So, yeah, they get their case dismissed, and it's a wonderful incentive for them.
About how long does one participate in the program?
It can be as short as a year. It can be as long as 2 to 3 years. It's very individualized to the person. We are seeing some mostly females that have a lot of trauma in their life and a lot of sexual abuse in their life as children that has led them into the things that they're dealing with now. And trauma-informed care takes a long time to get through. So it's at their pace. We don't push it. We let the treatment providers dictate how long people are going to be in specific levels of treatment. And we're there just to support them, encourage them, and continue to offer services around them.
Now, you see people make mistakes in the program, have relapses. Does that occur?
Oh, yeah.
If I'm in your program and I relapse, does that automatically withdraw me from the program or get me out of the program?
No. There comes a point where it's no longer a relapse. It's just continued use, and then we have to kind of retool on how we're going to deal with that person. But it took me 18 times to stop smoking cigarettes. So it's going to take people a long time to get off of cocaine or heroin or fentanyl or methamphetamine is another scourge that we're dealing with. So relapse is expected. We just get them into a more in-depth form of treatment like relapse prevention, and that coupled with aftercare and then additional cognitive behavioral therapy and moral recognition therapy. So it is not an automatic kick you out. But we may need to step up the level of care. We do have inpatient treatment now in Allen County, which we didn't have 10, 15 years ago. So we have a couple of options for inpatient treatment as well to kind of halt everything at once. And inpatient is usually 30 to 60 to 90 days. It can be that long. So it kind of is a reset for that person. Kind of, okay, we've relapsed. We need to regroup. We need to redo what we're doing and figure out how to make this better for you.
Okay. Do you ever see, can people do the program more than one time?
Not if they graduate. If they graduate and they get their case dismissed, the prosecutor is not willing to re-refer them. Okay. But we've had instances where folks have been in the program and have been removed from the program, been revoked, and their criminal conduct continues, and then they get referred again by the prosecutor. Okay. So that does happen.
And hopefully some of those people have then ultimately been successful.
Yeah, we've got a couple. I mean, it's a different population, so it could be a little bit challenging at times. But yeah, they can be as, you know, they will tell you, all of our clients will tell you, if you really want this, it's easy. If you really want to change your life, you can. And we're here just to support you and guide you. Sometimes it kind of feels like we're a bowling alley, you know, like we're the bumpers for the gutters for the bowling alley, that we just kind of make sure people are in that path of success and doing what they need to do to make their lives better.
Do you think it's fair to say it can be kind of difficult for some people to realize that the system, so to speak, is actually there to help them?
Oh, yeah.
That this group of people is on their side?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of them that are very suspicious, and it takes 6, 8, 10 months for them to finally drop their guard a little bit enough to recognize, okay, they're not out to get me. They're not out to make me fail. They really do want me to do well. And you can kind of see the little light bulb go off over their head, and it's like, oh, okay. You don't want to send me to prison. You don't want to see me fail. And I tell them that all the time. They just need to feel it and realize it. And when they do, it's kind of a neat moment.
Is there any kind of a graduation ceremony that occurs?
Oh, we have graduations twice a year. They're the best thing ever.
When's the next one?
June 12th is our next graduation.
Is anybody welcome to the
Anybody is welcome to come. And it's a really heartwarming, wonderful ceremony. I mean, there are times where I get choked up because, you know, we'll have a young lady that comes in and has now birthed a drug-free baby, and she'll bring the baby with her, and we go crazy over babies, of course. You know, people are succeeding. You know, they'll come up to get their diploma and they'll speak to the audience members and say things like, you know, I didn't think I could do this. Nobody ever told me I was worth anything. And this group of people, and they'll gesture and show the drug court team, they really do care. And they seem kind of surprised. People still seem kind of surprised that, well, we really do care about you. So yeah, graduations are twice a year, June and December. Anybody can come. We've gotten, I think our biggest class of graduates was over almost 50. And that was at our 50th graduation.
And
that happened. That was back in May a couple of years ago.
Okay.
It was fun. We did it at McMillan.
Nice.
At McMillan Park. We had so many people. It was like we can't jam all these people into the courtroom. And we were just on the tail end of COVID. Yes. So McMillan Park offered us their beautiful facility. And we went out there, and Mitch Shepard set it all up for us. And it was cool. Very cool.
So June 12th.
Yes.
What time?
1:30, courtroom 1.
Courtroom 1.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
That's third floor of the courthouse.
Third floor of the courthouse.
Okay.
Yeah, please come.
And let's see, I asked you about donations. So I think, is there anything else that you think we need to know about this wonderful program?
It has been life affirming for me. You know me, Marcia. I was a prosecutor for 1,000 years and in major felony as a judge. And when I started with drug court, I had to be kind of dragged in kicking and screaming. I wasn't a real true believer. And then I saw people changing and really making differences in themselves. And it was like, all right, well, people can change and people can do better things. And in seeing that and walking alongside some of our clients, it has been, I told somebody on Monday, just because we do court on Monday, you know, they were like, so Judge, how are you doing today? And I'm like, you know what? You guys are the best thing in my day. Coming into drug court is the best kind of work I get to do. Because the rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday, I'm kind of in the major felony stuff, dealing with a lot of the misery that our community deals with. But this is happy. And this is joyful, and this is wonderful work that people are doing. And just to be there and to walk alongside them and to be part of their recovery journey has been a really affirming thing for me. And I've really appreciated the opportunity to work with these people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I've often told people, with judges, the people you see over and over again are the ones who aren't doing so well because they keep coming back.
Yeah.
So being able to see this group of people do better and blossom and flourish is a unique experience.
It really
when you're
is.
On the bench.
It really is a unique experience. That's a great way to put it, because we get them at a really bad, horrible time in their life. And, tell them, you can do this. It's hard work, but you can do this. And we're here to cheer you on, and we're here to let you go and do really good things in your life. And it's wonderful to see, 5-10 years down the line when somebody comes back into the courtroom, and they'll just stand in the back of the courtroom and I'll go, oh my God, there's Larry. What's he doing here? And he just wants to come in and let us know how he's doing. And he's still clean, he's still sober, and those are the wonderful things. And when they come back and say, can I help? What can I do to help drug court? Well, you can be a sponsor, you can be a mentor, and kind of help people out and let them know there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you could do it, they can do it.
Do you have people who have graduated from the program or been involved with the program who are actively participating with the team? Or
Oh, yeah. It's a wonderful thing. We've got a couple of support group meetings that we run in the building at the Criminal Division Services where drug court's located. And all of the facilitators of the support group meeting are former participants of drug court.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah. So it's a good way for them to give back into the recovery community, because we hear in the recovery community all the time, you have to give back that which was so freely given to you when you walk into a meeting. So to have these men and women volunteer their time to help other addicts in our program is a great thing. It's good for them. It's good for their recovery. And it's really good for the new folks coming in to see, well, Albert Woodbury. We have an award that we've named after Albert Woodbury, the Woodbury Award, because he was one of the first graduates of the drug court program. Albie. Yeah. And just, what a marvelous human being. And just, to talk to him and to hear his story and to hear his testimony, you can't walk away from Albie or Amy or Tristan or Trista or Ryan or any of the folks that are working with us and not feel, wow, this is awesome stuff here. This is great therapeutic justice.
It's fair to say some of those people, when they came into the program, you would have never envisioned this is the person that they're going to become. And it's so amazing.
Never in a million years. Never in a million years. Yeah.
Well, Your Honor, I want to thank you so much. I've been honored to have you here as a guest tonight
to
discuss
Marsha.
This really wonderful program.
Appreciate it.
I know you've had a very busy day, and taking the time out of your day to come here and share with us, we greatly appreciate it.
It is an honor. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk about drug court.
I hope everybody learned a little something tonight as we heard about this great, great program. You can make donations if you're interested. Hopefully, some of you will be able to make the graduation June 12th.
Yes, ma'am.
At 1:30, courtroom 1. I've attended a few of them. It truly is amazing to see. If you're ever in the courthouse on a Monday afternoon, sometime between 1:30 and 4, and hear a lot of clapping going on, know that it's drug court and they're having a good time and congratulating people for a good
Absolutely.
job.
Yes, ma'am.
So, again, I want to thank you for being here and sharing this half hour with us with On the Level with LINSKY. Until next time.